Take two. I was anyway. Honestly, like it's 2009. Oh man. Anyway, right. POC people, but namely white people.
You must hate yourself. You must actually hate yourself.
And that's why you need to really know God for yourself, and you need to know what is really for you. There are thousands of people applying to the same course, but it was enough for me to completely question my entire purpose.
This will try. He's on the phone.
You turn around, babe.
As Anusha has already mentioned, she did an MMI interview and the rest of her three were panel. So I'm just going to ask her essentially, which one did you prefer? What was it kind of like? A brief kind of synopsis, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so King's was my only MMI one, and it was my second interview.
Clearly the best.
Oh, I mean, obviously. It was actually my favourite interview though. Cambridge was my first one, as I mentioned, and it was panel. Safe to say that I enjoyed MMI more, but I don't know if that was because I only had one, so it was one to look forward to. But I'd say the main difference is that with panel, is that you've got to maintain the same conversation and sort of atmosphere for half an hour or so, depending on how many interviews you have. And sometimes you feel like you can't get enough in half an hour, whereas with MMI you've got 7 stations, so you're like, okay, I can kind of cover these points in the 7 stations. So if I don't cover it in one, I can cover it in the other. And the thing that I found probably the most difficult with panel compared to MMI was the fact that trying to fit everything in, because another...
You're a waffler.
Oh, I'm such a waffler. We know this. We know this. So for my Queen Mary one, it was only 15 minutes long, which is very short, and in that time they also asked me about an article, which I'll go into detail more about in my later video. But yeah, I found that quite difficult to do. So I'd say the main thing is just time constraints in panel. But in terms of actual concepts and in terms of what they ask you, it's completely the same. It's literally the same. So for the people that might think that you need different preparation for MMI and panel, completely not the case. Like you can literally kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's just about how you practice. But as you mentioned, if you practice with other people, it's really good. Doesn't have to be a medic. It can literally be your brother, your sister, your mum, your dad, whoever you was around. But it's just saying the answers out loud. That will really help. But yeah, that's the main thing I'd say. Sometimes, depending on when you sit your interview, you can hear back later on. So what would be your sort of main tips? Have you ever had to experience that, where you've had to wait quite a while?
Let me even start to talk. Before I get into that though, I just wanted to say something about what you said about like family helping you out. I think also it's really, if you know people like and you have friends that are doing medicine or dentistry, do it with them, guys. What I didn't like was what I've experienced before is this kind of like secrecy regarding applications to medicine, and I completely understand it on one side, like everyone's scared of not getting in and like feeling a little bit embarrassed if you don't get in and then all your friends have and you feel a bit weird about it, but medicine is hard enough.
I think, like you said, one thing is that it's so emotionally and like time constraining. I think that you just have to be there for each other. Obviously don't go around, giving the questions away, maybe if you see someone that's finding it a bit more nervous than others, or someone who's waiting to hear back, just reassure them that it's completely normal, because at the end of the day you're all here for the same reason.
Prep together if you can, and I think obviously it's a bit different now, but do Zoom calls, do things like that. And I think medicine is such a collaborative course.
Honestly,
you can, if you think that you're going to do well doing medicine on your ones, you are deceived. You are deceived. You will not prosper. You have to work together, because there's always going to be someone who's better at a section than you are, and I feel like interviews is the perfect time to start prepping for that. And
one thing I've learned in uni as well from the group chats, especially being online, is that if you want help, there will be someone out there who can help you.
100%.
But another thing is, obviously you need to find people that are willing to help, but you've also got to be willing to ask for it. So if you know in the back of your mind, I'm not feeling really confident about a section, don't be afraid to ask someone for help.
100%.
Because you don't want to get to the interview and then be like, kinda didn't expect this to come up, because anything can come up.
And wishing and having regrets because you could have just asked a question. Honestly, just humble yourself. I think that's the biggest thing I did. I had to humble myself, put my pride to the door. I said, I'm going to ask for anybody, everything. And I think that helped. But to move on to the question that Anusha asked me about waiting, I find it difficult to even so if I'm like behind, like watching a TV series, for example, I will go on the Wikipedia page and find out what happened on the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad I am. So obviously, when it comes to medical interviews, it's not like I can see into the future. I can't grab that piece of information. But I would say what I tried to do this time round was I really tried to stay off things like student room because it was driving me crazy. And even so, I just think God is so wonderful. It's so funny because the time, so for Newcastle, I had my interview in December, and they told us that if you're a good candidate, if you're a really good candidate, you shouldn't hear back until at least March, if you're really good, and then everyone else will hear back later. So Newcastle was out of my mind for me. Warwick, I thought I flopped, so I wasn't even thinking about it. And Newcastle, so I heard back from Newcastle in February.
That's great.
Bearing in mind, I was supposed to hear back in March if I was really good, so I'm not trying to boast or anything. I'm joking.
No.
But even Warwick, I was on, I had come back from my cousin's staycation, and I found out on the coach back, I just got an email notification, like all the like feedback, I guess I would say, all the kind of offers came to me when I was like not expecting it, not looking at it. And I would say that's the best thing to do. I would say just occupy yourself with other things, because at the end of the day, you thinking about it is not going to make it come quicker. No. And for me,
trust me, I've tried.
With Kings, because I interviewed in January, and I remember looking at student rooms, because I'm not going to lie, I did kind of end up on there a couple of times.
Which is why we're telling you not to do that.
And I saw people who interviewed after me getting places, and I started stressing because I was like, every other time I was like, oh, these are December people, I don't care. As soon as I saw my date come up, I was like, oh, so you got a place and I don't know if I have yet. Cool. And it's just unnecessary stress. You can't change anything.
Like with me, my interview was in December, and like you said, people that had it in February were getting their offers in February, and I sat there and I was like, oh, okay, what do I do now? But it was slightly different for me because no one from my batch had heard back, but I just thought, had they forgotten about my batch, or are we all getting rejected?
People from my batch had found out. I saw my date and my batch time. I said, okay, I'm not going to this university.
Okay. Wow, they have batch times on there?
Someone said, because they said they'll be like on student room.
They said the time.
They said their time. They were like, this was my date, this was my time.
Yeah.
And I was like,
but you're here.
Yeah, I mean,
But the one, I think, important thing to take away that Natasha said is that I literally, I kid you not, the night I stopped thinking about it,
it happened.
I got it.
Yeah, and it's so much nicer. I'm not even joking. The surprise, the notification just coming up on your phone, and you're just like,
and like you said, I really preach the phrase "trust the process," and I can't emphasize this enough. Literally, trust yourself. If you think, okay, it went well, don't be afraid to say it went well. You know, similarly. 100%. Like, don't be overconfident, but have faith in yourself. If you think, I've done enough to get in, then just have that in your head. If you are hearing other people back, hear back, that's okay, that's fine. I think that really tests your mental strength.
Your mental strength, your faith, or whatever it is. So, yes, what I was going to say was that essentially, that trust and faith thing is so important, because even when I did my Newcastle one, I thought I'd done really, really well. But because I was so used to rejection, when I was reading my confirmation letter, I was like, oh, this is saying that I'm being rejected. Whilst reading congratulations. Can you imagine how crazy that is? I read 3 letters saying congratulations, and each time I was like, yeah, they're congratulating me on failing. They're congratulating me on not getting it. And that's, that's why you have to back yourself at some point. And I think, like what you were about to say is, if you don't get in, where do you go from there? What would kind of be your tip?
Well, for me, the main thing is rejection always means redirection. If you're not meant to go somewhere,
or at that time,
and I can't emphasize this enough, you're not meant to go somewhere. You're not meant to go somewhere. In my head, thankfully, Kings was something that I always had my eyes set on. But throughout times, there would be times where I'd be like, I kind of want to go here, kind of want to go here. But at the end of the day, similarly with my friends, wherever you're meant to go, you will end up going
at the right time.
If you're meant to be a doctor, you're going to be a doctor. If not this year, not next year, whenever. But I'm saying that there is always another option. So, and itself, the process is so draining. The fact that you even got to interview.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Do you know how many people apply? Because I don't.
Thousands, depending on the union.
Exactly.
Thousands,
so, Rejection means redirection, always remember that.
Yeah, and I would just add on to that, I would say that, yeah, be okay with feeling how you feel. Like, you don't have to shrug it off and be like, you know what, yeah, like, it doesn't even matter.
I don't care.
Have your cry, have your Ben and Jerry's, but after a while, pick yourself back up and be like, okay, now I have to be functional. Like, I remember the first time I got rejected, I didn't even email the university to find out why, because I was so up in my feelings and just so, like, disappointed. But definitely find out why, you know, why you didn't get in, or even a lot of self-reflection, because a lot of the time you know what didn't go that well and what you probably need to work on. So I'd say definitely, you know, do that and just, you know, amp yourself back up. And I think, like what Anusha was saying, is there are other options. So for me, I did biomed obviously before, and I do not regret doing biomed at all. I grew so much as a person. The amount of knowledge that I have for medicine, the person that I became from going to university somewhere else, and I just exactly, I evolved so much. So honestly, it's not a rejection, it's a redirection into like, what other path
with me,
you're supposed to be on.
I applied to Cambridge obviously, and then I got pulled, but then I got rejected. And at the beginning, I mean, I didn't have my hopes up for Cambridge, I wasn't even expecting to, but then when I got it, I was like, okay.
You start envisioning yourself.
Yeah. I was like, okay, you know, it's okay. So then I got the email, and obviously it said pulled but rejected, and I was like, okay. My Queen Mary interview was 2 days after that, and I thought, you know what? As in, I got my interview 2 days after that, and I was like, you know what? This is a sign. I got rejected from somewhere else, but another door's just opened for me. Okay. So I honestly think that, looking back on it now, I don't regret applying. It made me a better person. If I probably wouldn't have gotten King's if I hadn't, you know. So I think there's always a reason you have it, and you know what? We move.
We actually do.
We move,
and we are content with where we are.
Oh, 100%.
100%. So I think we've basically covered all the types of questions anyway that you guys wanted answered. We are going to make a different video regarding specific questions, which we'll talk about at the actual end, and that will be on Anusha's channel. But just to end this, we're just going to talk briefly about obviously the online situation, because, you know, Coco has Auntie Roro has ruined everything, so
honestly,
we need to talk about that and what to expect. But I'm going to hand this one over to Anusha to talk about, mostly because she actually did a little course with the university, whereas me, I was watching TV. So I'm going to let her talk about this one first.
Yeah, I did a circuit a couple of weeks ago actually with King's, where we spoke about online interviews. I've actually got a video of that, which I'll plug somewhere below. But I'd say one point that Natasha made earlier on is body language. Now, obviously, it's going to be online, so that's not as important, but as stands eye contact, posture, the way you speak, the way that you sort of engage is really important, because, again, they're only seeing you for a short amount of time. You want to make the best first impression. This is your chance to show off. So
sorry, can I interject quickly? Just because I had a so basically we have like patient scenarios that we go through as part of our course, and our the lady who is what we call an SP, so that's basically, what does it stand for? Oh, a simulated patient, SP, and she was stating that the lack of eye contact is really obvious. So like, if you think that you're going to get away with like putting something on your lap and reading off it, it's not going to work, because as soon as they see you doing, they're going to be like, this person's not prepared, and it makes you look worse. Honestly, it's better to just say what you have in your head and, you know, get that out, and maybe it won't be as clear as concise, but if you're looking down, you just look unprepared. Sorry, that's what I wanted to say.
No, it's fine. You don't need to look like, you can look around if you're thinking in moments of thoughts, but just don't look down. Make sure you're always in the line of sight of the interviewer, so that if you are sort of thinking, they can see, okay, she's having her moment to think, because you're allowed to think. So just, I'd say, maintain eye contact. Another thing I'd say is that, as weird as it sounds, have a strong Wi-Fi connection, okay? Because
that's not weird.
Speaking from experience, Wi-Fi connection can really affect how your session is.
And make sure your laptop is on 100%. Plugged in, because you don't want your laptop to go boom during the interview.
And it actually works.
To be honest. To be honest.
So I'd say Wi-Fi, body language. I'd also say something really important is sort of, don't be afraid to ask them to repeat the question, and don't be afraid to ask them, is there any specifics that you want? Because I kid you not, sometimes, like Natasha said, there'll be a question where it's just one question. And they've given it to you, and that's it. No follow-up question, no keywords, and they just stare at you. So sometimes it's okay to ask, Is it okay if you could repeat that, or is it okay if you know, is there anything else that you want me to mention? Because I feel like that way, online sometimes because of connection cuts you can't always get the question, but if you ask them to repeat it to you, that's okay. Also, if you do have Wi-Fi problems, completely normal, it's okay, we're getting used to this.
Don't stress out. And I think what you were saying about you know, taking a break, whenever I needed to think, I would actually say it out loud. I was like, can I have a second to think, or a moment to think. And I think that's imperative, especially with online interviews with the Wi-Fi situation, because you might be like Medusa sat there frozen and they might think it's your computer. So let them know that you know.
And it's similarly when they ask you a question at the beginning, if you want a moment to think, be like, can I just have a moment to think? They like that. They don't mind that.
It's 100% better.
And probably the last thing I would say is that just, even though it is online, it is still an interview, it is still a conversation that you're having, they still want to get the best out of you. I genuinely believe, if like, there's always been this myth that sometimes they want you to flop, or sometimes they want you to do this. Generally, they just want you to do the best that you can. So even if it is online, they're still going to be asking the same questions, they're going to be trying to get the same techniques out of you. So just prepare it as well as you can. And make sure you're not late.
And I think to add on to that, a couple of things that I would say is, if your background looks a bit strange, blur your background, which is something that you should be able to do. Another thing, you know, make sure to remind your family or whoever you live with that I have... Guys, the video cut! So the last, like, 5 minutes cut, but don't worry, we're recording it again because we are loyal. Me forgetting all the advice that I was supposed to talk about. Anyway, I think I was just commenting on 3 things that I would have added to what Anusha was saying, and I think one is make sure to blur your background, like if it looks a bit strange or peculiar.
I think you can do that on both Zoom and Teams, so it should be fine.
So, or to edit it, I think sometimes you can make it like a picture in the background, like, I don't know, a blue screen or whatever. Number 2 is, you know, remember to remind your family or whoever you live with that you have an interview actually happening, because you don't want to have, like, you know, screams and shouting in the background. It's not only distracting to you, it's distracting to the interviewer. And you were saying something about environment as well.
I also think where you sit your actual interview is really important, because of course you can sit it, you know, in the kitchen or in the dining room or whatever, but if you're not comfortable there and you feel like this isn't the atmosphere where I want to sit my interview, change it. So as I mentioned in my other video, maybe try out a couple of questions in a certain area and see, I'm kind of vibing with this, and if that's what you want to do, then go for it. Because everybody has a different preference, you know, but it's just about finding out what works best for you, really.
And I would say actually something I forgot to talk about is like, testing your equipment properly and things in terms of lighting, you know, sound. So I would say if you know the type of platform, if they are using, you know, a platform like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, maybe try and like contact one of your friends on that before the interview, so you know what it kind of see how it's
anything to just sort of ease the stress a little bit on the interview day, especially if it's online, you might not be familiar with it as much.
Exactly.
It's all about just finding what works best for you and just treating it like any other interview, because it is still an interview. They do want to get the best out of you. I think there's a strange myth that interviewers try and like
grill
you to the point.
They don't want you to get the place.
But having been over the other side and actually interviewing people myself, I can say that that is not the case. We literally want to see you do the best that you can do. So just be yourself and be ready to answer questions and think outside the box, and you'll be fine. You should be fine.
100%. And lastly, just to add, the way you dress really does matter. So I know you're at home and you're thinking it's onesie season, but it isn't for your interview, trust me. So top half is the most obviously important. I would say depending on how you sit, they could still maybe see your bottom half, but it doesn't mean that you have to, you know...
Don't turn up in a suit if you don't think you're not going to wear a suit. If you wouldn't wear a suit normally, don't wear a suit. But similarly, don't rock up in like your PJs or
this. Even though it's cute. It's cute for today, but not for the interview.
Wear something smart but casual. Something comfy, you know?
Something that you would see your GP, or if you've been, you know, hospital work experience, what you would see them kind of wear.
Semi-professional.
Exactly. What they expect you to kind of, you know, dress like
see
when
yourself
you do
when you
ward rounds.
So,
Exactly. So I think that's everything. We're gonna just end on that point. I don't think is there anything else that you want to add?
No, just that we're going to be making another video just like this one on my channel, where we're going to be talking about specific MMI questions that you guys have sent in, because there have been quite a few, and also talking about sort of what to do if you don't get interviewed, or what to do if it doesn't work out after interview, because that's completely normal. Medicine is such an intense course that things like that can happen, but it's not the be all or end all. And hopefully that will help some of you guys. But yeah, stay tuned for that.
Definitely. I think, you know, obviously we're going to do this follow-up interview.
I'm going in the bloopers. I'm going in the bloopers.
So I was like tripping. I was like, I don't even know what I'm saying, which is what you shouldn't do in an interview. This is why you shouldn't speak too quickly on your interview, because you'll do this type of thing and then you'll be like eating your own words. Not great. But like Anusha said, look forward to that video, guys, because we're going to be talking about specific types of questions and how we would attack those type of questions.
But then again, obviously they're not perfect answers, because obviously no medic is absolutely perfect, but hopefully we can sort of collate our experiences and sort of give what we think would be quite a good answer at interview. But yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful way to end the video, really, is to remember that no medic is perfect, no prospective medic is perfect. So don't feel like every single question that you answer on interview has to be 10 out of 10, because it's very unlikely that it will be. Like Warwick, I had sections that were great. I had one section I should say, I think was only one, that said below satisfactory when I got my feedback. So it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but they just want to see the best version of yourself. Just bring the best version of yourself to life from what they've seen on paper, and you should do a great job. But make sure to check out Anusha's channel. All of her social media will be linked down below. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and my social media will be linked down below as per usual. And if you have already followed my Instagram, or you want to follow my Instagram, make sure that you do, so that you can be part of that 500 follower food gift card giveaway. The sooner you follow, the sooner the giveaway comes. Guys, who wouldn't want to win?
Who would not want that?
Exactly.
Come on, free food.
Free food. Exactly. So this is Anusha. This is Natasha from Natasha's Narrative. Thank you so much for watching. We hope that you found it helpful. And like I said, make sure to check out her channel and make sure to check out our next video. Alright, bye guys.
Bye.